Good. How about we bring you in to say something here about let's be trees and how we get started and so on.
Let's get started and so on. I'm Kurt Roskoff from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I am glad to be a part of this pivotal exchange going on that is sure to spur global attention. And we're with an organization, as Emily says, Let's Be Trees, which is for sure on its trails to revolutionize the funeral industry here in the USA. And we have founder Cheri Wallace, who is called to do this work. And wow, to think of the tens of thousands of people in my life that I have come to know. And so Cheri, I might call is one of those 1 in a million people, and might be 1 in 8 billion, because I don't know anybody else on planet Earth right now. I've never heard a report of it, having the gumption and the tenacity to go and do this. And it's for the betterment of families and individuals. And when you look at the relationships you have, to take a look at that moment when somebody in your life passes away. And I'll tell you right now, just this past week, someone in my life, a friend of 40 years, passed away, reached the age of 94, 2 months away from the age of 95, and doing one of these traditional funeral services and Catholicism and, paying respects, and actually a ceremony at a water ski show. I'm part of what we call a water ski family. And so the daughter of this gentleman was able to come out to our ski show and address the audience last night in terms of how appreciative she is to the community for the role that her father was able to play in a weekly community occurrence throughout the summertime. And he is now laid to rest in those traditions. But now we open the gateways to say, very nice as that is, what about the rest of the nation? What about the rest of the people in North Carolina and other places? And can we teach you all how to be a part of this rejuvenating traditions of old? Cheri gives us that historical perspective that she's just reculminating for today's people in 2024, how we can take a look that we slipped away from things that have been done in the past. And we're struggling to find out why we've taken that diversion. We're going to come in here and take a more natural way to things. And in this Let's Be Trees fashion, I'm certainly interested in this as a stakeholder in the topic, because I have a chance to have my funeral arrangements done through Let's Be Trees. So let's learn more about it. Emily, I understand you have a couple nice pieces to play, and then you're going to be hearing directly from, as they say the horse's mouth, but this is really Cheri's mouth coming up soon here. Cheri, Emily, what are you playing on her behalf here? And let's get into the program. We have a whole crew here, folks. We're going to have a lively conversation with a panel of people who are backing up Cheri as I am. And we're pleased, proud, and privileged to have this program here on the World of Ability Podcast Network. Let's Be Trees, Emily. Let's see these videos. She's working hard here. She's got me on YouTube, so I'm grateful for that. Hello to everybody on YouTube and all of our social media platforms.
Child. When my grandfather passed away in 1950, my grandmother was pregnant with their 13th child. When my grandfather passed away, my grandmother was forced to give up the family car to bury her husband. So now she was with 13 children and walking. A few years ago, my sister was forced to do a fundraiser to bury her husband. We can fix this system. The Hosanna High Community Burial Project is transforming the funeral industry from profit to nonprofit. Join this revolution. In 1950, my grandmother was pregnant with their 13th. That was cool, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Very, very heartfelt.
Uh-oh.
Mm.
Uh-oh. Well,
Yeah.
we don't have to play it, Emily. It's no big deal.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the second video. Let's bring in founder of Let's Be Trees, Cheri, to say some words.
Hello, I'm Cheri Wallace, and I am reforming the funeral industry. I feel like it's my mission in life, and I have brought these people together, among other people, and we're going to leave a lasting legacy. I spent the last 2 days in heavy prayer and thought about leaving legacies and how we all people aren't as afraid to die as much as they are afraid to be forgotten. And I think that once we all figure out what our mission is in life, what our purpose and our legacy, what our legacy is. So this is mine, and I'm doing this for everybody. My grandmother, my sister, my own mother who had a meager funeral, my own self, I it- we're doing this together for the whole good of humanity, and it's going to be a legacy, change, life changing for everybody, and we're going to need help doing it. So I have brought in John Petros Sr., who is an amazing guy, to help me with marketing, and I'd love to bring him on and hear his report for the week and find out where we're at. I know we're sending out some emails and starting a campaign. John, do you want to talk about what you got?
Sure. I started sending out emails for Cheri. Just the other day, I sent out over 100 emails. I'm still working on the bigger list. I only got one reply back out of 106 that said, please don't send me anymore. Haven't gotten
Okay, well, that's
replies
good.
like that back from the other ones. There was 7 of them that the emails weren't any good on. So our numbers are still looking pretty good on that end. Waiting to hear back from people
We
who are interested.
we need
Uh,
144 people a day, every day. This is our goal. Because last week we got the phone call that we could lease the property for 1 year to raise the funds for it. So I think that's why some of the stress is on me now that I finally got what I wanted, a lease on this property, and now I'm scared to death. So I am, oh, hey, Karen. Karen's in the room. You made it. I wasn't, how was I going to talk about legacy without Karen? I was like, what? My whole show's gone. But we got Karen, and we, I just lost my whole train of thought, but we're, we need 144 people a day to change the way that we do funerals for the good of humanity. And that's kind of an easy, when you put it down to that simple, how many people could you get? How many people are in your immediate family? I was at a restaurant last night and I was talking to the bartender. I was at a bar, okay? I was at a bar last night and I was talking to a bartender. I did eat some while I was there. And she said, you know what, in my immediate family, I probably could come up with 120 people who really don't have solid funeral plans. And she's like, I bet they all got $100. And I said, we're on our way. So I'm going around town. I'm recruiting these waitresses and bartenders and regular people to come with their army. Emily, Lee, Kurt, David, Perry, Karen. Find 100 people in your circle, and we'll do this in your state. This is just the start. This is just the start. We're leaving a legacy. And can we bring Karen Corbett on? I she's gonna blow y'all away with what she's put together. Karen is leaving a legacy. Karen has created, tell us about it, Karen. You'll do so much better than I will.
Okay. Well, my goal is to capture the stories that are part of our heritage, that's part of our culture, to create empathy and understanding, to know that other people have been through hard times and that you can make it through hard times. There's so many people in this world that that have trouble connecting with other people, or feeling alone or lost and not really knowing their heritage. And there's been study after study done with youth and adults that one of the most important things that we can do to increase our resiliency and our, sort of, I'm going to try it effort, is to hear the stories of the past that inspire us. I think we all use that a little bit. You like to hear the stories of what Abraham Lincoln overcame, for example. But when it comes within your own family, that brings it to a personal level and gives you strength. And that's something that we need to pass on, and to learn about other people's struggles, how they overcame them, and connect as a world. So do you want me to go on beyond that about what the program does?
It's perfect, because I want our members to be able to tell their story with you. I want our members to be able to walk up to a grave, whether it's a tree or a bench, it doesn't matter, but be able to punch in, so GPS, we're right here at Cheri's place, and what's her story. That's what thrills me about what you're doing, Karen, that our people can leave their mark with your product, with your system. And we got more guests, and we can make it a part of the whole society. I'm super thrilled to have you and your creative genius.
Yeah, well, the problem with passing on those stories right now, right, is, there was a time, I think, when people tended not to stray very far from their hometown, and they did hear stories, and they'd hear it from their grandparents who passed it on, and that sort of thing. You kind of knew everybody in town, and you could walk up to a grave. I know in my little town that I grew up into, my dad would take me and tell me all the stories of the people that were buried there back generations before he knew them. But that isn't the society we exist in anymore. So how do you create that? The other problem is that people don't hang on to things. You get a journal or a bunch of photo albums, and nobody actually wants to store them anymore. That's just not a thing. But if you take them and do something wonderful, like upload them all online, you put them all in Google Photos, you share that with everybody, what most people are coming to realize is that there's a time limit on that. So if you don't access any of those Google Photos or that account at all for a couple of years, then all of the memories are gone. So it's, how do we keep these memories accessible? How do we make it so that people who live in various and sundry places, the sister that lives in Germany and the brother that lives in Japan and the uncle that lives in California, can actually access them? And so my idea is that there are lots of things. There's the headstone, of course, that you can use, but you also have lots of perhaps artifacts. You have the picture that came from England, you have the vase that came from France or something that's important to the family. Somebody could inherit that. And with a QR code, you can connect that story. You just scan in the QR code, you pull it up, you don't have to know the login information. You pass that vase on to their daughter and their daughter's daughter. They can come to the graveyard and pull it up off of the tombstone. How much fun is that, to just walk through and actually find out about strangers that were buried there that you might be interested in, that maybe you lived at the same time as your grandma or grandpa. Um, and you suddenly have access to these stories in a way that people want to view them and store them, and not only have maybe a written record or a single picture, but be able to actually catch that accent. Like, you have an adorable accent. Like, everyone would want to hear that, you know, if they're in Germany, like, oh, you know, you gotta hear my aunt. I mean, that's just fun to listen to, you know? So it's capturing the personality of the person, and being able to pass on that heritage, that culture, those values that have existed in your family and other people's families.
I have the most the coolest vision in my head of people going back to recording their reading of the will, and they're like, they could have a cool background, like they're in a game of Clue or something, and they're real serious, and they could dress up fun, and people could have a documentary of their will, rather than just say, you know, Joey gets the car and Susie, but actually read it out. And you could even do something like, you know, I won't say that, never mind. I'm terrible sometimes, but I was thinking, like, you could kiss off your neighbor, you know, in your will, you know, whatever your deal might be. But then we have Cheri, who once we document our will online and we've got all our stories and everything's uploaded and done, Cheri, who owns Quail Feather Notary, which is just ingenious to me, has come up with this product to notarize people's legal documents from anywhere in the world. So as long as he can do a live, you can get all this documented. So when I heard what he was doing, I don't think he understood how interested I was going to be at what he's producing, and how much I need him to be a part of what we're doing. So Perry, come on and tell us what you've created, little legacy lever.
Sure. Well, hi, Cheri. Hi, everyone. Glad to be here. So, Quail Feather Notary Services is effectively a virtual first notary signing services agency. It offers all the same kind of services that you would get from meeting with a traditional notary public in person. You know, doing all of your depositions, acknowledgements, sworn statements for power of attorney, living wills, title transfers, even real estate closings for people who are buying or selling, transferring a real estate property. But the great thing is that I'm also additionally licensed as what is referred to in the industry as a remote online notary, which means that I can perform all of these same signing services, but completely virtually. And the great thing is, and it's all still run through your Secretary of State. Your virtual notary stamp is actually a fully locked and password protected virtual file that transfers to all your documentation. And one of the other great benefits of that is that as long as I am physically within my commissioned state where my license is, the end signer can be anywhere in the world. So there's really effectively no range limits. It makes things a lot more convenient for the signer. You don't have to worry about trying to scramble to get an in-person appointment, or if someone can't travel to meet you or anything. You know, as long as you have a device that has a camera and a microphone, you know, we can meet and I can work with them. And it's also great because of it ends up for a lot of signers being a lot more cost effective that way, because you're not having to worry about reimbursing for time and travel fees on top of everything else. You just meet in the virtual signing room. It's one cost up front and all your documents get notarized. So it's a lot more convenient, a lot faster, a lot cheaper. It just ends up working out a lot better for everyone.
I'm so proud of you. That this is just ingenious, is what it is. You're a creator, and we're all creators here. We are legacy leavers. And I want y'all to know that you see the white dot on my head. I think it might be my mother. I I had moved over here and it wasn't on me anymore. So I was like, I want it back. David, what do you think of all this? Come in and share your wisdom with the crowd.
Hi, nice to see everybody. Let me just respond to Cheri before I talk about anything else. In economics, you may know that 52% of American households can't get together $1,000. And given the fear of death as well as the money factor, it's going to be very difficult for people to have any kind of funerals, much less the kind that Cheri wants us to have. Also, the amount of debt that Americans hold now is almost in the trillion. It's ridiculous. The amount of debt, it's crazy. So it's a very hard thing to make a living for, quote, regular, unquote, people these days. And so the last thing that most people are thinking about is funerals. I think that Cheri said, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cheri, something like 75% of people haven't made any arrangements of adults. And that includes, you know, a lot of people who could, but a lot of people who would like to, but just are trying to scrape things together for next week. So I just wanted to say that. In terms of what I do, it's a lot of things. Lee, if you do course things online, that's something we need to talk about down the road. My biggest interest in helping Cheri is I'm naturally a teacher and a writer. I teach quantum physics. I've had 43 kids get perfect scores in the SAT, and I've started this humility project because humility is a common language that we all speak. If we don't speak humility, we speak arrogance. What's it going to be? And when you have humility people doing business networking and networking, it's a beautiful thing because it's having the guts to be out there. It's having the guts to be vulnerable. It's having the guts to say, I don't know, and really mean it. And it is changing people's lives because you can't get humility. There's a seed of it that's in you, and it can start to flower. And that's part of what I want to devote the rest of my life to. If you're interested, I'll just make a note here, June 27th, 6 to 7 EST. If you're interested, I'll leave my email in the chat and you can text me about it. But I want to get back to Cheri before and I have to go. So this lady has gone through so much to get to this point, and there seems to be just the beginning of a forward motion here that I think is inevitable. The greatest ideas in the world, the things that are complete paradigm shifting, comes from simple ideas. There's a brilliance in Cheri's simple idea, and I can't wait to see it out there in the world.
Aren't you something? I have this dream that we are going to make the simple common man, everyone's going to be able to plan a cool funeral. I mean, everyone I know has $100. Everyone I know. And most people have brothers and cousins that can dig their own hole. And you know, you can wrap up in an American flag if you haven't got a box. And these mansions are not just for the rich people. They can be for the common man going forward into life. You know, that's your forever home is a 300-acre, 200-year-old, gorgeous estate. Get out of here. Who wouldn't want to do that? I mean, unless you've got a family plot downtown and your nana's there and you want to be next to your nana so bad that you'll spend 20 grand to do it, then I get it. But, or you're a veteran and you really want to be buried at a veteran cemetery, I get it. But if you haven't got plans, and 75% of us out there that don't, so why wouldn't we be able to sell this with absolute ease? It's $100 one-time membership fee. I mean, does it get any easier? You pick flowers out of your own garden. You know, you get your cousin Susie to bake a cake, and let's get back to family first. And what's the legacy here? You know, Lee Kaduka, come on down. You're the next contestant.
Oh, that's kind of
Let's
dangerous.
Be
I mean,
Trees.
I might not have all the answers.
We
Well,
don't have all the
everybody.
answers either.
Okay, we're striving. So aloha everybody, I'm Lee Karaoka. I'm on the islands in Hawaii. I am on the main island in an area called You can't hear me? Called Pearl City, Hawaii. Are you able to, anybody, can you hear me?
It's just low.
Ah, okay, I'm just not talking loud enough. I'm just trying to not, like sound like I'm shouting. Anyway, I'm Lee Karaoka, and what David had talked about or mentioned earlier, I am a great discovery promoter, and that is a platform, and we are looking for course content creators or anybody who does online courses to load their content up onto the platform. And if you know people that are coming to you and going, Cheri, I don't understand English. Can you please give it to me in Spanish? We'd have to go. Nowadays we go, no, I can't because I don't speak Spanish. This platform will allow you to transcribe your English into over 100 different languages. So I am speaking English. They did a demo reel for me, and I am speaking German, French, Spanish, Japanese, and Filipino. And when they're doing the translation, it looks like me talking in that language. And I'm like, oh, I don't look like those old films when they're dubbing me and I'm talking and, people then are not paying attention to the message I'm trying to give because we're so wrapped up in, oh my God, that isn't making sense. So if you'd like to, learn more about it, Kurt has put in a link to a free course. Everyone can sign up for it. And we kind of we'll need to talk to Cheri because Cheri is a member, but she's just a retail customer. So we need to move her up to become an affiliate. But everybody will be sitting under Cheri, the Hosanna, and I might screw up your business name, and I'm sorry, but the Hosanna Memorial Park.
It doesn't matter. Let's be trees.
Let's
what
be
I
trees.
wanted to what I wanted to introduce for you, what you do is there's people out there who have knowledge that, like my father. My father tells me all the time, God, I wish I could find a young guy I could teach how to train horses. Or I wish I could find a young man that I could teach how to clean drains properly. And he's got this knowledge and this will to want to teach, to give back. And I feel like our society members, we're going to have a lot of society members that have that bit of knowledge that they want to give to others, and to create a course of whatever it is that they know. And as far as like the Let's Be Trees, I feel like I could put together, with your help, a course on how to do this in York State, how to open a natural burial ground in every state. And I would probably give it away. Because if somebody wants to make funerals free, I don't think I want to charge them for it. So,
well, we can chat about that later, about pricing, because I know you're trying to get, raise some money for your nonprofit, to support that plot of land that you just got. And when you get something in addition to that, and you're supporting something that you believe in, I think it's a win-win for both parties. So, we could do a small smidgen of a free course and then offer something, for as little as $5 to $10 to learn. Because, knowledge is the one thing that is very hard to get. And like you were talking about your dad, it's leaving a legacy, right? His legacy dies with him because he didn't teach it to anybody.
Mhm.
So, you know, like Perry can't go and, oh, I learned from Mr. Wallace, da 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 da, da, and then Mr. Wallace comes back alive, right? If not in bodily spirit, but in the heart. And that's pretty cool. So, you know, you can even do the courses for him if he's still not around, if you know all his stuff.
I can just barely hear you, Lee. I'm sorry. I can't even follow along. I uh
I'm sorry. I'm trying to talk really. Does this make it better?
that does make it better.
Okay,
What
I'll
do you
move the
think?
microphone closer to me and hold it up.
What, let's bring Karen back in. Karen, what do you think about all this? What's going through your mind with reading of the wills and signing them and teaching courses and John sending out letters and David loving every minute of me and Kurt singing my praises. Emily's going to take courses. Emily's going to teach people how to do their will online. I think if Emily doesn't do it, I'm going to take the fame and do it myself, Emily. What do you think, Karen?
Well, I think it's fabulous. I mean, my whole my whole what I exist for is to try and make knowledge accessible, right? And I'm talking about knowledge from people who have lived before and gained some wisdom and things like that. I think you know, the notary system, it might even be something that we could work together on, because sometimes, right, when people create wills or do things like that, people will say, you know, well, you know, mom wasn't in the right mind when she wrote that. She was pressured by, you know, cousin John to put him into the will, or, you know, something like that. And that's where one aspect I see of this is that, you know, you can make it theatrical, which would make it entertaining. That's true. It'd be real fun. But you can also, you know, talk about why you did certain things and show your lucidity. And I think that would hold up in court really well. And then you can get the document signed. You can say, this is why this happened. You can talk about things like guardianship. You can talk about health directives, you know, so you don't have people. There's a lot of things that children can squabble over when their parent gets to that position, right? And having and particularly, I don't know if Perry would agree with me, but particularly if you create something yourself online or something and then have a notary sign it who, you know, you didn't meet with specifically, I can see that that could cause some legal issues, you know, or arguments among the family to try and prove that there was an illegal issue. And having that documentation that someone had a reason for it and it made sense and this is what they did, I think that brings a lot of clarity to families and a lot of peace to families that they're actually doing. Yeah. So I would love to work with a notary and say, we actually have a recording of why this was, you know?
Well, and that's one of the other benefits with doing remote online notary work, is because of the platforms that we have to legally use for them, they automatically, as standard, record all notary sessions. So there's a video record of every meeting, every transaction. So, and part of it too is we have to ask legal questions during those remote sessions to say, you know, are you doing this of your own free will? Do you understand what you're signing? Are you doing this on your own behalf? And we can kind of assess their mental capacity even in that virtual signing room, and make sure that they know what they're doing, that they understand what they're signing, they know why it's happening. And there's a recording of the entire thing. So if there ever is some kind of legal question or a family discrepancy comes up, I can pull that right off of my online journal and give that to the family and say, hey, here's a record of the transaction. Here's all the questions they were asked. Here was their mental state when they met with me. And that way there's that way it's not just a matter of hearsay of, oh, well, the notary claims such and such. It's like, no, here's an actual recorded session of when we met there, so they can see it firsthand for themselves.
There's no question asked. This is better than in person. This is the best thing that could happen
really is.
to families and wills and trust funds and everything else. What do you think, Perry, about recording wills. Is that something that sounds interesting to you as a
I do think it sounds very interesting. I would have to find the right way to do that, just because I know the software that we use for the online notarizations, it's not really built or meant for that kind of like intimate message, I guess you could call it. Just because it's meant to just record the actual legal process of the meeting. But being able to meet in a separate, maybe a separate recording to do that live will reading, final thoughts to the family. I think it's a fantastic idea, and I think a lot of people would be interested in that.
Well, and I think that the issue there is that you can do a couple of different things. Like, so on the recordings that, I mean, for instance, in my platform. So on the recordings, they're basically broken down into small clips. So they ask a question, you answer it, you ask a question, you answer it. So you can go directly to what you want. You don't have to listen to 2 hours to, find out how mom met dad, or maybe in this case, why you wrote a will a certain way, right? And with every clip within Generational Story, you can write a description, which you can link to anything, including, say, your video, your will. You can link to the document, you can link to the recording, you could link to whatever. So you could discuss maybe those more intimate details and say, now here's a link to my will right here. And I imagine you could do the same thing with their recorded history. When you do the will, it's like, hey, if you want to know more about it, this is the QR code, because like I said, the QR codes, although they're physical and can go on physical objects, they also could be copied over to your site so that they could just pull that up and hear the legacy, sort of the story part legacy of the individual.
So they can record their will on your platform.
Yes, they could read the whole will if they wanted to. They could also explain why they were, I mean, the will might have certain boring parts, and so it depends on what you want to do, but you could also explain certain things, like you left more money to this child because they're taking care of a sibling, a brother or sister of theirs, and that doesn't have the mental capacity, perhaps, something like that, to take care of themselves, right? And so as well, and you could, you could make it funny, you could make it, all kinds of things, so that people, it's like, oh, it's time to read the will, and grandpa himself reads the will after he's passed. That's kind of fun too.
Mm-hmm. I love it. I love it. What do you think, John? We're gonna write it.
I think it all sounds like a great idea, and something that we could actually get the word out and make people more interested in what we do. Also getting it out on live stream TV, which I can now do.
John got a contract with Hulu and Hulu and Disney and Hulu. We can put Emily, have you got that other short video? Is it ready? Could we play that? Is that the one I sent you the link for it?
I'm looking.
You're looking for the link that I emailed you?
No, I haven't. It's about getting to work.
Oh, never mind. Anyway, we made 2 super cool videos, and they're like 45-second videos. Karen, you missed the one, I think. Speaking of videos, though, your video commercial made me cry. So your people, when I was interviewed by your very professional web people last week, they said, what'd you think of the video? And I was like, it made me cry. So if you've got the ability to share your commercial, you can share that here if you'd like. You can share your screen.
Oh, okay. Just hold on 1 second and I will find it.
Yeah, cool. Emily, while she's finding hers, do you want to find mine?
I'm doing that right now.
Love you.
The only
So
thing with Disney and Hulu, the only thing is I'm limited right now to 30-second videos.
There's so many
30
stories
seconds.
behind the house.
Yeah, well, this one that she saw is 45 seconds, but I have several that are 15 seconds. So I could also send you links. They're like, 3 of them are pullouts of this one, and then 3 are unique. So I'd be happy to send you those as well. I do have the video pulled up if you want me to share screen.
Yeah. Is that okay, Emily? You just share now, I guess?
Let's see, I'm going to share with sound and go there. Okay, can you see my video yet?
Yes.
There.
I can see it.
Okay, here we go. Let's play this thing.
There's so many stories behind the house I grew up in.
Ah.
And the hands that built it. To know the memories behind the rings you exchanged. And the day you met me. To know that being on time runs in the family. That you also had to learn how to ride a bike. And teach yourself how to sew. And make your own bread, just like me. I want to capture it all, because the stories that built you also build me. Record your memories and keep them accessible for generations to come.
The brain
So-
power you want is not in a bottle.
Sorry about that.
It's okay. It got me teared up again. It's
So John, yeah, I have 15-second videos kind of like those too. If you would be interested in putting them out, that'd be awesome.
We can talk. And
John
Cheri,
is a great guy.
If you notice, Cheri, I
John-
just took a phone call. It was a telemarketing for end of life insurance. Coincidence.
What are people going to do, Karen? Here's a good question to Kurt, Lee, John. I really cannot wait to see what people do for their funeral party when they don't have to spend $10, $15, $20,000 for their funeral. I told Steven the other day, I said, make me a commercial for the poor kid on the street who the only thing he's got is his Facebook page and a free Obama burner phone, but he can come up with a party and everybody can come up with $100. And I just love the thought of giving everybody a dignified funeral. Everyone.
Cheri, I just came up with another idea for you.
What have you got?
These properties, when someone gets buried, maybe $50, they can have the party at the mansions.
That's going to be our money maker. Okay, so it's $100 to get in, but if you want Nana laid out in the parlor and you want to rent the mansion, it's going to cost. I'm not sure what the costs are going to be, but when we get in it, Karen, you may not know this, Lee, you may not, Kurt may not. Last week we got a call that we can lease it for 1 year to raise $5 million to buy it. So I'm going to be renting out the cabin. We're going to have a year-long slumber party. And you can come to North Carolina. We'll get you out on Lake Gaston. And you can walk and wander on this beautiful 300-acre estate. There's a spring-fed pond that starts on the property. And it's gorgeous. And there's already a cemetery on the property. It's a family cemetery. So we could have tea parties in the cemetery and wine after 6.
Cheri, speaking of the family cemetery on the land, have you checked out the history on that lot?
the National Registry history. I read it 2 years ago. It's been a minute. But it is on the National Register of Historic Places. Is that what you were asking about?
Yeah, well, actually, I didn't even go to the registry one. I just looked up the location online, and it comes up with some pretty interesting information and pictures.
Awesome. I haven't done that. Some old pictures because there's some old buildings on there. There's a building on there that is predates the house, which was 1827. It's a log cabin that needs a restoration. And I just know I took some videos of it, and I'm looking forward to finding some log guys, some wood guys that would take this project on and save that little it's like a maybe 15 by 15 one-room log cabin with a old fireplace which is falling down, but it's adorable. I can't wait to what did you find? Tell me what you found.
I'm trying to remember. It was a couple of days ago that I looked it up. It used to be a plantation at one time, which is probably when the mansion got built. But the log cabin, I believe, is the original building on the land, which some time ago was pretty much in the woods. So that land at one time was all trees.
So
Oh,
Cheri,
yeah.
Cheri, I have a meeting I'm late to, but I want to throw in one thought about that. Like I am actually working with a city right now that next month is going to launch a thing where you walk down Main Street and you can scan in the QR code, and we're having a film crew come out there to record all these stories about what used to be there for those buildings. And I would be happy to work with you, donate a free album on the area that you're trying to get to develop some interest, and maybe people can hear stories about that. So let's collaborate on that. I do have to leave, but I think it would be really fun.
I think so too, Karen. Thank you so much for coming and for your work. I love your work. And we're going to have it as a part of what we're doing. And everybody will be able to leave their legacy.
It'll be great. All right. Thanks. See you all.
Bye. Kurt, you've been very quiet. And that's almost scary quiet. What do you think about all this?
Well, I think it's fabulous what this conversation represents, and to see these folks rallying around you. And we've got people playing different roles, and so I think that's kind of the point here, is that this panel of contacts here is just a way to exemplify how anybody watching and listening to this video or catching these messages, there's a role for everybody in this, whatever your talents are, or whatever time can be offered up to such a great cause. I mean, I've said before, it's the cliche out there. There's two certain things in life: death and taxes. And we might be able to help indirectly on the taxes side too. So that there's just no getting around. This is something of high value here, and like you say, it's a membership program, and we're talking community burial, and helping make sure that people who don't have many resources to scrape dollars together, that's the devotion here, to make dignified burial available to everyone. And so when I get involved in community projects, like with our group here, Let's Be Trees, it's the Hosanna High Community Burial Project, but that faith community side of it, is, something that obviously comes into play here. We are a nonprofit, or I guess a 501c4, right? or is it seven?
C7.
51C7. 51C7 membership organization. But I think I'm accurate here. We do see a future to within our membership group, create like a foundation or something that, 501c3, I would trust within the next couple of years is probably in our future as well, right, Cheri?
I was looking up the short film that Emily couldn't find. I'm sorry.
Cheri, I have it.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Then
What a segue, Emily. Take it away. Let's do a little screen share and let's break away into that.
Grandparents would go around the countryside and get families to donate $1 or more. For thousands of years, our grandparents would go around the countryside and get families to donate $1 or more, and they would purchase a piece of land, they would build a church or a community center, and then they had a graveyard. There were no more costs. You didn't have to pay $4,000 to get in that graveyard. You helped to buy it, and you preserved it, and it was yours to use. We're going back to that. I'm Cheri Wallace, and I'm here to show you how we can reform the funeral industry. Welcome to the Elgin Mansion.
Hello, beautiful friends. I'm excited to collaborate with a pioneering nonprofit organization that transforms estates and land gifts into private community cemeteries. Let's be trees, where every life leaves a legacy. I am Dairén Santamaria, founder of Santa Maria Music Productions.
For thousands of years, our grandparents
So
would
these
go around.
people, I found these people from Alignable, and I can't tell you how grateful I am to Alignable. I should be a poster child because I met John there. I met Kurt because of Jim Scalzizi. Is that his name? Kurt's,
No, Bill
Scalzi.
Bill,
Romance by
yeah.
choice. So there you go.
Yeah.
You take him from he gets people romantically involved to next thing you know, they're being buried next to each other.
My right. Let's be trees together. My legacy is going to be the deer are out. The deer are right 25 feet away from me. She's like, "Where's my corn?" So I don't know where in the world I was at, me fleeting moments. But I found Dayron. She is a concert violinist and an events coordinator. So Stephen is also an events coordinator, John. So I have found these musicians that are they write songs about God and God's calling, and one of them is called God's Calling. And there's a couple other musicians that I want to invite to as an event, not just musicians, but I want to invite Jordan Peterson. I want to invite Donald Trump because I'm making funerals free again. And Jordan Peterson inspired me to dream of the largest burden I could possibly bear and then bear it. And this is the biggest damn thing I could come up with, is to reform the entire funeral industry. And I thank Jordan Peterson for giving me the inspiration to say, I know where to start. I'm going to start right here with a podcast with Kurt and Emily, and we're going to get our message out, and we're going to leave a lasting legacy. We're going to leave a legacy, and everybody else can too. So that's what I got. You guys got anything else to lend to this Friday fun day?
I just commend you. Here in Hawaii, with our land being so expensive, what you're trying to get done is like a pie in the sky for us. I don't know if that'll ever happen here because our land is so limited. It's not like, the mainland where, no offense, mainland, but your land comparatively speaking to ours is so much less. But I'm not,
So it
I'm
just
not,
takes numbers. It just takes numbers, Lee. When you find 100 acres and whatever the cost is, then you figure out how many people you can bury there, and then that's how much your memberships have to be. So it might be that, you do something on a smaller scale, so it's not 300 acres. Or you see what I'm saying? When you,
no, I hear,
if it's,
I'm
if
not,
it's
I'm
10
not,
million,
I'm not, um,
it's just a numbers game. It's just numbers. If
right.
you back into it, and that's how we got to where we're at now. We need 144 people a day, right? In order to come up with $5 million at the end of the year. So if you back into it, whatever amount you find a piece of land, whatever the price is, doesn't matter. It could be $10 million. It could be $20 million. How much land is there? Okay. Then how many people can we bury? Okay. Well, then that's how much, divided it up. That's how much we have to come up with for a membership. So it doesn't matter whether the land's cheap, beautiful, wherever. It really is the perfect cemetery society. I've done it. Yeah.
I just take my hat off to you. I understand what you're saying. I get the picture. It's still maybe it's just it's a mindset that needs to shift. Don't know. Just based upon what I know about Hawaii, it is a harder street to walk on because of our limited land. Not for the sake of money or numbers. It is a harder street because we don't have big acreage of land.
Right. You might have to do something on a smaller scale. And it may end up being more than $100 a year, So, but $100 a year is too cheap. So, if it was $1,000 a person, it'd probably still be a super huge savings. And,
I don't think it's even going to be $1,000 a person, but we can talk about that later.
well, there's a $28 million property. It's $28 million. It's in Ahalawa, Hawaii. It's 170 acres. It looks out over the ocean. It looks like, if you got 170 acres, you can probably bury, let's say 200,000 people. 200,000 people divided by 28 million. What's that number? It's doable. That's all. That's all I'm saying is it's very doable in every state, in all across the country.
Well, I invite you to Hawaii to come and get that done.
Let's do it. Let's do
No,
it. You
it's
got
not
an extra couch?
it's not, I wish I did, but I don't. But I think Kurt's got something to say.
Yeah, I would actually propose, Lee, that you bring up an excellent opportunity for Let's Be Trees, and actually the business model, philosophy and practice of Let's Be Trees actually puts Hawaii at about the top of the list of our 50 United States in terms of the goodness of fit for the Let's Be Trees model, because the Let's Be Trees model is multi-use of property. So the idea is that even though it's a burial property, the vision of the community burial project is that land is also put to use for other needs of Hawaii for the use of the land. See, right now with our culture in the USA, you have a cemetery like where my friend John is right now, and it's just cemetery. It's just the dead people are there, and that's it, baby. Cheri's model and what we're adopting with this project and Let's Be Trees is that you do this natural burial, and with the land use, there's other things that, could be, used on the land, with the other built, like we're talking about a mansion on this one property and so forth. So now you have that land being used for multiple things, which makes what you say, Lee, for, that Hawaiian land is so precious. I would think every Hawaiian would be, this is what we need to do.
It'll be something that really you need to look into first, because you don't want a protest going down because
If
for
you can't get
religious
the
sake.
community, if the community doesn't want it, then you won't sell out. So it's all a matter of a numbers game. All we need
No, but
is
when I'm
50.
it's just not it's knowing the heritage or the history of all the different races you have here, and to have the view of, yes, let's expand and have parties there because it's a celebration of life instead of celebration of death. Kind of resonates with some people and it doesn't resonate with others. For us, I'm Japanese. The burial area is a very sacred place. And in a sacred place, in our upbringing, we don't go party there, because if you party there, somebody gets too unruly, then they go desecrate the burial area. So there's a lot, I think, that needs to be looked into prior to, okay, this is, I mean, because ideally it sounds really, really great. But there are
Here's what I'll say. I'm going to say challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. I want this 170 acre, $29 million, the nicest of the nice in Hawaii. Let's get that done, Kurt. Let's get that done, John.
All right, come visit me then, and you guys got a place to stay at that $28 million property.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and the
That's
other thing
right.
the other thing I would say is that there's also an opportunity to again look at, again, a community burial project. So to me, the project is going to reflect the community. So if a certain number of Japanese members of Japanese descent, come into this and there is that structure, then the Japanese culture could construct, in terms of a multi-use property model, what are the acceptable uses of that property as well that would not be considered a desecration and would, stay within the sacred expectation that Japanese have for, the legacy of that burial plot.
It's kind of like in heaven too. In heaven, there's going to be a place for the Baptist. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I think it presents a very interesting idea that I've already kind of thought about, having sections of a cemetery. So some people don't want to be a tree. Some people want to be a Viking. Some people want to be buried with all their Baptist friends. Some people are single and are going to be a big field with a disco ball out there or something, right? And Japanese, we can give you guys your own. Here's 10 quiet acres over here at the corner, overlooking the ocean. And the Episcopalians, we'll have them out by the bar. You just work with the people in whatever community comes. If it's a large Japanese community, then they can make their own. Here's 10 acres, right? You don't party, but you can have it for your burials. I think it's a great
Yes,
idea.
your concept is very, very, very intriguing.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not saying, I, I'm just saying this, and I'm not saying it to offend anybody. So I hope nobody takes offense, but it's understanding what you're coming to. Because Hawaii has a very unique culture. And that's why most people, most mainlanders end up getting into trouble with the local people because we're not a, it's very family. I think this should be a conversation we really should have. So
Let's have another conversation.
Yeah.
Let's do. I can't wait.
Yeah.
We will, because I need to learn, and I can't go into every neighborhood guns blazing and tearing up the street, right? So I'll slow my roll back just a little bit, but $29 million in Hawaii, as rich as you guys are, I know that'd be easy to come up with, and that I would love to know how much is an average funeral in Hawaii. I'll bet everybody has to be cremated, or most people are cremated, and I still bet it's $10,000 to check out.
Well, I mean, if you want to talk cost, you know, my father passed away last year.
Sorry.
That was about $15,000 to $20,000. Now, it's yes, and most people get cremated here because of land restrictions. I don't know if and how the government would feel, because that's another hurdle you'd need to get over here in Hawaii, is the government hurdle about burying people in this 20-acre area.
Right. You wouldn't buy the land if you couldn't have a cemetery. Right.
Right.
If
I
it's
mean, you
not
know, so
zoned
there'll
right,
be a
you
lot
wouldn't
of
buy it.
things that one would need to look into before saying, I'm going to buy it. And frankly speaking, coming more humble pie instead of all guns blazing here in Hawaii will get you more places than, you know, I want the, you know, we can do this and we can do that and we can do this and we can do that, because too many people in Hawaii have had the mainlanders come in, give us a bunch of sales lethargy, and then they leave and we're left holding the bag. Now, you want to talk about pricing. I mean, we just had a house that sold for $1 million, just a house. And it's not even a big house. It's not even a big lot. It's probably less than 1/4 acre of that. So by the time you probably get everything going, yes, the prices will probably go up. But anyway, guys, I gotta jump because I got another meeting to go to. Thank you so much for having me here. And Cheri, yes, let's talk about, you know, changing your status with the Great Discovery, so I can turn around and tell you how and maybe John might want to be there with the presentation so he can decide how that can fit into whatever he's doing for you.
Thank you,
I actually know where you're coming from because I've studied Hawaii. I used to be a travel agent at one time. So
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, so thank you. It's not, I'm not trying to down what your idea is. I'm just trying to give you a little bit of our reality here. We're not rich. Everybody here works 2 to 3 jobs. You know, I don't own my own house. I am
I
now
just did the math. I just did the math. $29 million. All we need is 29,000 people to come up with $1,000. 1,000. So you just spent 16 to 20 for your pop. And I'm sorry about that. That's fresh. But if it was only $1,000, do you think that maybe the people might consider doing death differently? That's all. That's all I'm
It's just,
suggesting.
I know that's all you're suggesting. It's a great idea, but any idea that's outside of the box of most people is a harder trek. And I think John might agree, a lot of people in Hawaii are pretty close-minded. So if you can get it taken off, I applaud you. I certainly, I do.
29,000 people. That's not a big number. That really is not a big number at all compared to what we're doing. I mean, I need 50,000 people in Macon to make 5 million. So just doing the numbers different. Anyway, thank you, Lee.
Okay, thank
for
you.
this understanding, for giving me this understanding. Thank you.
No, I appreciate what you're trying to get done. I wish I live in your state, then I put my $100 possibly in there just to support you. Not that I might get buried there or anything, but you know, I do it.
You could
But
give it away.
Well, I need to make some money with the Great Discovery first, and then I can think about donation. So until I get my feet on really solid ground, you know, donations are really tiny amounts. But thank you very much. I gotta go. Thank you. Bye. Mahalo,
Bye.
guys.
Wow. So Cheri, the other part of, you know, community burial project, Let's Be Trees, and you know what we're trying to do, and the Hawaiian culture thing, again, it's naturally placed that the local concerns are taken care of, because like I'm in Wisconsin. I could say like it's going to look different in Wisconsin because it's not like you guys do in North Carolina, but you know, your model is Kurt and Emily and Sue and, you know, all you Wisconsinites get together and find your thousands of people. So by having a Hawaiian team and a board of directors in Hawaii, you know, for that community burial project, you know, that's where it takes care of itself, because you know, you have the peers in Hawaii, the citizens of Hawaii, you know, building out the project. So of course it's going to be akin to what Hawaiians need, because they're going to be the leaders making it happen.
Right. I think it was just a shock. Even anyway, we'll talk to her with her more, but it was a gorgeous property, $29 million with a real nice view.
All right.
And really so obtainable. So come at it with just a different number, you know, just come at it from the back. And I think that 29,000 people would put up $1,000 easily to get out from having to spend 15 to 20,000 on a funeral. And as far as environmental issues go, we're doing it naturally. The hard well, first of all, you're not going to buy property that doesn't zone. Okay, you're not just going to walk in and say, "Oh, this is the one," you know, and then you have to fight the city and the county. That doesn't make sense, and we wouldn't do that. So we would be able to open a cemetery, or we wouldn't be looking at the property.
You know,
Yep.
Cheri, just to give you an example, down in Bermuda, it's very, very limited land. There are some open spaces, but there's one, when I was down there was one cemetery, at least, that I had gone by. It was on the ocean banks. And
it was on what?
It was right on the oceanfront property.
Nice.
And half of the vaults that were planted, half of it was above ground, because if they go any lower there, chances are it would float out to sea.
So one of the issues that I have with that, John, is the way that our conventional cemeteries bury people. It makes it so that the damn casket floats. Okay. So if we go back, if you wrap me up in a shroud, I'm 135 pounds, and you put me 4, 5, 6 feet in the ground and put some rocks on top of me, I'm not floating. I'm going to decompose in what is it? I'm going to completely decompose in, I think, 50 years, and I'm not going to be anything. We could plant over top of it. This is the perfect thing for Hawaii. Perfect. Never thought about getting one in Hawaii, but now I'm like, whoop, let's find a board of directors for Hawaii. Listen,
Hello.
we need to cut this off. That we can talk while we're not recording, Emily. Can we say goodnight? We could sing Amazing Grace. What'd you guys think about that commercial with Amazing Grace playing?
It's good. Yeah, well done.
Emily, are you there?
So I guess thank you everybody for coming. And we're here every Friday at 3 o'clock Central. Thank you to our partners of Marcus Hart, Transfer Me Media, Lawrence Wingate, Wingate Studios, Zach Clayton of the Back Channel, and Jay Strand with Disability Channel for their support of the network and our shows. And until next week.